So this video here will mark the official end of the WrestleMania review series, and I have to say, this has been a lot of fun, a lot of work. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it, but I'm also glad that it's just about over. I hope to not have to do another WrestleMania review series for a long, long time to come. Let's just put it that way. But seriously, thanks to all of you that have tuned into this WrestleMania review series. If this is the first video in the WrestleMania review series that you've caught so far, go look at the playlist in the description box down below, and you can watch any of the other 27 WrestleMania reviews that I did as part of this series in the month of March. If you're wondering again where WrestleMania 29 is, remember that was actually reviewed last year on this channel, so no need to go back and do a retro review of that one. So now let's talk about the matter at hand, and that is WrestleMania 28. Now this is a show that after the incredibly anemic and pathetic effort that was WrestleMania 27 and the disappointing efforts in back-to-back years of WrestleMania 26 and 25, to me the pressure was really on the WWE here to, at the bare minimum, produce a show that ultimately felt like a WrestleMania should. The pressure was on to produce a big-time event, a Super Bowl of sports entertainment, because the previous 3 years had clearly fallen short to me. The last WrestleMania that had really felt like a WrestleMania at all, frankly, was WrestleMania 24. So the pressure was on here. And at the beginning of this show, I was really, really concerned because heading into this WrestleMania, I was incredibly excited about it. I was incredibly amped up about it. You had big matches that I really cared about. I thought they had a lot of things going for them on this card. I anticipated they were going to do great business with this pay-per-view. But then the first hour of this show happened. And oh my fucking God. This had to be one of the worst laid out first hours of a pay-per-view of any kind in history, and especially when you factor in the fact that this was a WrestleMania. The structure here was bad, the time management was atrocious, and the matches all underproduced dramatically. You take a look at the opening freaking match. Now, at WrestleMania 27, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan for the United States Championship was originally scheduled and slated to be on the actual main WrestleMania card. Then it got bumped, and it became a no contest that turned into a battle royal won by the Great Khali. So now, with that storytelling mechanism in place, Sheamus coming off of a Royal Rumble win, Daniel Bryan having won Money in the Bank, cashed it in, became the champion. Here you are, WrestleMania. And of course, this match is going to open the fucking card. Unbelievable. I don't know why the WWE with WrestleMania 27 and WrestleMania 28 thought it was a good idea to open their biggest show of the year with one of their two titles, one of their two world titles, that is, at stake. At the opening spot, in the curtain jerker spot. I'll never fucking figure that out. I'll never understand that, because to me that was completely freaking ridiculous, which doesn't begin to describe my reaction to this freaking match. Now, apparently the whole concept here was that the WWE was really trying to get Sheamus over and really trying to get the bro kick over, and they were going to go and try and set some WrestleMania record for shortest title match victory or shortest match in WrestleMania history. It's one of those things, though. If you don't go for it all, don't do it at all. And ultimately, the fact that this really didn't break any records at all just goes to show how ridiculous this was. This was completely and utterly ridiculous, and I think incredibly disrespectful to both participants. And it's funny, now you look at WrestleMania 30, and the show in large part is being built around Daniel Bryan. You never would have envisioned that even 2 short years ago in the WWE, because right here he walks in the World Heavyweight Champion and does the freaking job in 18 seconds to Sheamus. They made him look stupid, they made him look weak, they made him look pathetic, and now they're making it look like he might actually become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 30. The crowd obviously popped for this because it really came out of fucking nowhere, and it was a huge surprise, and it was Sheamus's big WrestleMania moment. But what a crock and what a shame, because this was a match that actually could have been a really good opener. This is a match that really could have helped elevate the profile of WrestleMania 28 overall. Imagine with the 3 big matches on this card, you have Sheamus and Daniel Bryan, and even if you insisted on having them as the opener on this card, imagine if this match delivered. You gave it 12, you gave it 15 minutes, and you made it feel like a real WrestleMania World Heavyweight Championship quality type of match. Imagine how much better this show would be in the grand scheme of things. Instead, you got a ridiculous idea, a ridiculous match, and a ridiculously booked result. It's not the issue of Sheamus winning, because by God, it had been 4 years since a Rumble winner actually won the belt at WrestleMania. Excuse me, you got to go back to 2007, WrestleMania 23, when Undertaker did it. The previous 4 Rumble winners hadn't won the belt at Mania. So you had to do it here for that Royal Rumble stipulation to mean anything anymore. So it had to happen. Sorry, Daniel Bryan fans, it had to happen. But not in this way. Not in this way. And then you got to the next match, Kane and Randy Orton. You would have expected this match to at least been good. It wasn't. The next month at Extreme Rules, they had a much better match. It was disappointing that the WrestleMania match felt nothing more than a Raw 1 hour or 2 hour main event match. Not even a Raw main event match. Just one of those featured segment matches. That's terrible. With Kane and Randy Orton, you're at WrestleMania. You would have expected better. You would have demanded better, and you didn't get it. So the hits just kept on rolling. And even Big Show defeating Cody Rhodes to win the Intercontinental Championship. You know, Cody Rhodes had beaten Rey Mysterio the previous year. Now he's dropping the IC title to Big Show at WrestleMania. It is what it is, but damn it all. This match didn't even get that much time. It was just like 5 minutes and that's it. Big Show and Cody Rhodes again. How could you not find a way to give these guys at least 10 minutes for this match? How in the fuck can you not do that? So instead of having maybe a 15-minute opening World Heavyweight Championship match that could have really surprised people and really set the table well for the rest of the night, a better 10-minute match between Kane and Randy Orton than what we got, and a 10-minute IC title match between Big Show and Cody Rhodes, you got 18 seconds of Daniel Bryan and Sheamus. You got a crappy-ass Kane-Randy Orton match, and then you got a blink and you missed it, thanks for playing, Big Show Cody Rhodes IC title match. Not good. And then you got to the freaking Divas tag match, and that was Kelly and Maria Menounos against Beth Phoenix and Eve Torres. And what was really bad about this is I'm noticing it looks like during the match that somebody's taking a shit in Maria Menounos' pants, meaning Maria Menounos. Now you could sit there and say it was Eve Torres' makeup and all of this. No, that was my whole focus in this entire match, was the fact that this bitch, it looks like she sharted herself. She shit herself. That's the whole focus. And what's even more ridiculous about this is this Divas tag match at WrestleMania 28 got more freaking time than the World Heavyweight Championship match and the Intercontinental Championship match combined. Just think about that for a second. Combined. The first hour, the first hour of WrestleMania 28 was truly that bad. And it was this point in time in the show I said, oh God, they need to hurry up and get to Taker, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels. They need to get to these 3. They need to get to this end of an era match, because that's the only thing at this point that is going to be able to save this show, because this first hour has been brutal, god-awful, and terrible. And that's what we got. We got The Undertaker versus Triple H with Shawn Michaels, as a special guest referee in this Hell in a Cell match, this end of an era match. And this match couldn't have come soon enough. Now, when all is said and done, I will probably remember this ultimately as the best of the 3 Taker and Triple H matches at WrestleMania. I think they went more to the extreme in this match than they had in either of the previous 2. I think there was more storytelling in this match than either of the previous 2. And you really felt the gravity of the moment. You felt the gravity of the situation. You could see how Shawn Michaels was really torn. Maybe on the one hand, he didn't want Triple H's best friend to do what he couldn't do twice at WrestleMania. But he didn't want Taker to beat his best friend down the way that it was. So he was torn. And Triple H, he's like, He wants this. He wants to do something that his best friend couldn't do. And he wants to end the streak. And Taker gets to the point here towards the end of the match where he realizes what he wants to do, what he has to do, but maybe ultimately he really doesn't want to do it. This match was tremendous. And if there was ever an example of a match at a WrestleMania that saved the night and sent things on an upward trajectory, it was this match right here. One of the most important matches in WrestleMania history. And the reason I say that is strictly because it pulled WrestleMania 28 out of the toilet. Because again, I cannot emphasize enough just how bad our number one of this fucking show was. The structure was terrible. The time management was atrocious. And again, you've got a 4-hour freaking show. How in the blue of blue hells can you only have 8 matches on the card? Especially when you've got an 18-second match, a 5-minute match, and a 6-minute match mixed in. And a couple of 10-minute matches. You can only find a way to get 8 matches on a damn WrestleMania card. Inexcusable. But boy, Undertaker, Triple H, and Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. It makes up for a lot of boo-boos that came before it. And it totally wiped the slate clean. And now this show started to feel like WrestleMania. It really, truly did. You had Team Johnny versus Team Teddy, in the tag match. And hey, this tag match wasn't that bad. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, is it going to be able to follow up Undertaker and Triple H in Hell in a Cell? No, the hell it isn't. But did it serve as a good spot filler and as a placeholder and a kind of a breather match to get to the next 2 matches on the card to close out the night strong? Yes, it did. Miz gets the victory here. And Team Johnny Ace rules at WrestleMania, baby. It was a very dude-worthy match. Maybe a dynamic dude-worthy match? Oh, come on, you got to give that to me, damn it. And then we get to the WWE Championship match, which you had to know ultimately wasn't going to main event on this card, brother. CM Punk defending his championship against Chris Jericho. And whereas Undertaker and Triple H really saved the night, in a lot of ways, CM Punk and Chris Jericho kind of made the night. This was a really, really damn good WWE Championship match. Now, nobody, I think, is ever going to refer to this as one of the 10 best matches at WrestleMania, but there was a lot of pressure here for a CM Punk and a Chris Jericho to go out and do what they did. Because you figure you ultimately had to follow Undertaker and Triple H in Hell in a Cell. And then immediately afterwards, you were going to be followed by the match that had been built up to for over a year. A match that was so important to the WWE that they threw WrestleMania 27 under the bus just to build up to this match and this moment at WrestleMania 28. You knew the gravity of the situation was going to artificially inflate this match to feel better than maybe it was ultimately actually going to be. So the pressure was on CM Punk and Chris Jericho not to be outshined here, not to be overshadowed, and they weren't. Now, the WWE might not have marketed this match as one of the big deals by comparison with the end of the era match and Rock versus John Cena, but this match lived up to what it should be. This felt like a real WWE Championship match at a WrestleMania. And thank God somebody had enough sense in their freaking head to not book this as a main event, so that way it didn't go on to become a forgettable WrestleMania match. But then ultimately, we get to the main event. And this, like I said, had been in the works really for over a year, since February 14th, 2011, that Valentine's Day edition of Raw, where so many men missed their hero, The Rock, come back after over 7 years being gone from the WWE, to come back and announce that he's going to be the guest host at WrestleMania 27. You look at the WrestleMania 27 main event, they said, screw the Miz, he's the champ and that's all great, but it's about The Rock, and he's the guest host of WrestleMania. The night after WrestleMania 27, they take this unprecedented step of announcing what the main event is going to be for WrestleMania 28, The Rock versus John Cena. And it was so many interesting dynamics for me, when it came to this match. 10 years before, a decade before, at WrestleMania 18, Rock was in the Cena spot, and it was Hulk Hogan in the Rock spot. And I always find that very ironic that exactly 10 years later, now Rock was playing the Hogan role and Cena was playing the Rock role in a lot of ways. And this was one that had a lot of people torn because they didn't know what they really wanted, I don't think. I think a lot of people were looking at this from a long term, Cena should go over. But sentimentally, maybe The Rock should go over. But make no mistake about it. They did what they did for a reason. They knew that this WrestleMania was going to be a really big WrestleMania, and it was going to be incredibly important for the WWE to ultimately send the Miami crowd home happy and to create a memorable experience that would leave a good taste in the mouth of a lot of the WWE fans that ordered this event on pay-per-view. And when you go back and look, this was the highest grossing WrestleMania of all time. This was the WrestleMania that generated the highest buy rate in history, more so than WrestleMania 23. So this was an incredibly successful event. As far as the match between The Rock and John Cena, maybe a little on the long side. This was probably one of those examples where they allowed too much time to this match. Because you figure with the frickin' Machine Gun Kelly and Flo Rida performances, you damn near devoted 50 minutes or so to your main event. It was almost too much. It was almost expecting too much out of The Rock and John Cena. Let's face it, The Rock had really effectively only wrestled one match in 7 years, and that was back at Survivor Series. So now you're bringing him in here, and you're expecting him to go over a half hour in the main event of WrestleMania 28. A risky, risky proposition. And this is again where I say the time management of this card in general was terrible, in particular in the first hour. You left too much time for Rock and Cena. And what happened was, even though I still feel the match told a great story, and even though there were plenty of moments of drama and suspense, it was kind of long, and it was too drawn out. And you would get these little blips here and there, but there was a lot of it, you're just kind of sitting there like, And you really shouldn't have that feeling and have that type of experience when you're watching a WrestleMania main event, especially a match like this with two icons in the history of the WWE, two franchise players in the history of the WWE. A match that the WWE felt so important that they threw the previous year's WrestleMania entirely under the bus in order to start the road to this WrestleMania, to this match, to this moment. But I will tell you this, with all that I can say about this main event, there's one thing it did, is it gave me a glorious WrestleMania moment. It was kind of like the WWE was saying to myself and millions of fans like me, we realize that for years you have had to eat the Cena shit and like the taste of it. We realize what we've done to you with the Breakfast Club, with C-Nation, with this hustle, loyalty, respect garbage. We understand that you have put up with a lot of shit, frankly, that you don't like, but you still watch this product. You still love this business. You still love this company. You still love sports entertainment, if you will. And it was like they said, here you go. Here's a bone for you. And as The Rock sat there, and it was 1, 2, 3. It was one of those truly special moments for me. It was one of those moments where I could take the critic's hat off. I could take the smarky cap off, and I could be a fan again. It was a glorious moment. And I think it becomes even more glorious in the grand scheme of things because a lot of people that were opposed to this booking decision at the time sat there and said, this is stupid. Rock's not going to be around. Cena's there all the time. Never mind the fact Cena wins almost every fucking match he's ever in. Never mind the fact that, oh my God, he might actually lose to a true icon of the business. If anything, that's what it should have happened with Hogan and Rock at WrestleMania 18. Great match, maybe wrong guy won. They rectified that mistake here at WrestleMania 28. It's The Rock. He's in his freaking hometown, so to speak. It's where he played his college ball. You really think they were going to have him lose to John Cena there? No, I don't fucking think so. And looking back at the business that this WrestleMania did in terms of pay-per-view buys, in terms of the overall gate receipts and gross for this event, it was 100% the right decision. Excuse me, especially with the WWE knowing that later on they were going to go to The Rock well again. And he was going to become the WWE champion. And he was going to main event next year's WrestleMania against John Cena. And Cena would get it back and win the title against Rock. And they'd have their great big rematch. Their big return match. To me, if anything, that elevates the profile of this match. And it elevates the greatness and importance of this match. And makes it 100%, in my mind, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the absolute right booking decision. And ultimately, what a moment it was. It meant so much. For those of you that sit there and say, well, you know, a bad finish to a match doesn't necessarily ruin the match. Well, okay, that's what you can think. But get the fuck out of here. Ultimately, everything about the match is building to the fucking finish. If anything, if there's one thing you're ever going to get right in a wrestling match, make sure it's the fucking finish. That's what everybody remembers. That's what's most important. That's what determines who wins or loses, if anybody wins or loses. And it was about a finish. And a magnificent finish. And I popped along with that 80,000 so people in Miami at that Sun Life Stadium, whatever the hell it's called. It was a glorious moment. And when all was said and done, I felt the WWE had really, at the end of the day, delivered us a show that felt like a WrestleMania should. That felt like a WrestleMania could. They did themselves a lot of good as a company with this WrestleMania. They delivered a big-time show. The 3 featured matches on this card, the 3 primary matches on this card, all delivered in a big way. And it's not every WrestleMania you could say that about. Now, some of you might sit there and say, well, this was pretty much a 3-match card. And you know what? You're probably right. But there, frankly, are a few WrestleManias throughout history that you could look at and people really like and say are some of the best WrestleManias of all time. And they might only be a 2-match show. This was a 3-match show. And each of the 3 matches meant something different in their own way. And all 3 of them lived up to, if not exceeded, the expectations. And especially when you're talking about Rock and John Cena. That was incredibly difficult to do. The fact that you've been building to this for over a freaking year. Now you might say, well, it wasn't the greatest visual masterpiece of all time. That's 100% true. But at the end of the day, does it really fucking matter? No, the hell it doesn't. And if you sit there and say, yes, it does, I say bullshit. Because at WrestleMania 30, if Daniel Bryan beats Triple H and then he goes on to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and everything else on that card is the drizzling shits, so many of you are going to come back on here on the internet, on YouTube, on the forums, on the dirt sheets and everything else, and you're going to be praising it all over social media and saying it's one of the greatest freaking WrestleManias of all time. So for all of you that have been Daniel Bryan fans for years, and you've been waiting for that moment for a Daniel Bryan to have that signature WrestleMania moment at a WrestleMania 30 this upcoming Sunday, now you get just a little bit of an understanding of what it felt like for me to see The Rock get one more WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 28. Thanks to all of you again that checked out this WrestleMania review series. I hope WrestleMania 30 can live up to what it needs to be. This is a special show, and it needs to be a special show. And I truly hope the WWE does what's best for business.